Hello and welcome back to Elden Ring. This is part 10 of the run where we prepare for the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Now, in this run we will go through every weapon, shield, armor set, talisman, spirit ash, physic tier, and cookbook that you'll need no matter what build you're running in order to prepare. If you remember, last time we went through the Siofra River and Einzel River, the two basic underground rivers, and we talked to Blythe to get access to a teleporter that will bring us to Redmane Castle. Now, I should mention, we're not going to be doing all of Caelid. We are going to be doing just this main part of Caelid here. So, we are going to start out at Summonwater Village Outskirts Site of Grace, and we are just going to head northeast. Now, if you're curious about the specifics, we are not going to be doing Redmane Castle or the Celia town in this part. We'll be doing that in the next part, and then the part after that we will be doing Dragon Barrow. So, hopefully that gives you an idea of what we're going to be covering in this part. For now, we're just going to head northeast on this pathway until you see this church off to the left. And we're going to head towards that. And you'll be kicked off your horse. Don't worry, this is intentional. It is an NPC invasion who will pop up just about now. And this NPC can be quite dangerous, especially early on. So you may want to be careful with this fight, as they hit very hard and they like to do jump attacks. But as always, square off is very powerful, and defeating them gets you the Sacred Scorpion Charm Talisman. This boosts your holy attack, but makes you take more damage. So if you're invested heavily into holy damage, that may be good. And here there are two items. I'm going to be picking up the left one, the Nomadic Cookbook 14, as this allows you to craft poison pots and poison bone darts. Poison pots are pretty easily craftable and build up poison. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Poison bone darts are much like bone darts, which themselves are just throwing knives, but they also build up poison. This other item is another cookbook that allows you to make a consumable item that increases your item discovery for a time. If that interests you, you can pick it up, but I am not, because I don't want it to clutter up my inventory. But there, as you can see, you can go left or right. We are going to be going left, as right is the way of progress, making left the shorter path. And there's a boss down here that interests me. Now, you may want to kill these enemies so they don't fight you while you're fighting the boss. They aren't that difficult, I'm just bad at the game, so don't worry about that. Now, coming up on the boss, this may look like a normal Erdtree avatar that you've been dealing with the entire game, but this one is a bit different. See, this is a putrid avatar, and their jump attack sprays a noxious gas, liquid, whatever you want to call it, and when it touches you, it does a lot of damage, and it also builds up the Scarlet Rot status effect, which is itself like Toxic from Dark Souls. It is basically poison, but it does a lot more damage, a lot faster. So you can very easily avoid that just by running to the side. Though, putrid avatars really like to spam this attack, which can kind of restrict where you can exist. Especially if you're next to a wall or next to the minor Erdtree. Still, I believe in you, and upon taking them down, you will get the Green Burst Crystal tier and the Flame Shrouding Crack tier, which those two give you increased stamina recovery speed and increased fire damage. So if your build uses a lot of stamina or uses a lot of fire damage, either way, this putrid avatar may interest you. Over here, there's a cracked pot, and that will allow you to make one more consumable crafting throwing pot at a time, if you're interested in those. And over here, there's a door which leads you down into a catacomb, which gets you more upgrade materials for your spirit ashes. And in there, there's also a headpiece that is pretty good defensively and increases your endurance stat by 2 points. So that may interest you. And as you can see, running into Caelid, you can also get a new crafting item in the Faded Erdtree Flower. So that's everything here. And so we can continue up and we can head over that flaming wall. And we can get this Site of Grace, which is the main first Site of Grace into Caelid. Don't forget to rest whenever you need to, and possibly level up. And once you're good to go, you can head back towards the wall, and then left over here, heading towards the south. And what you're going to want to do here, about here on the map, is you're going to drop down onto these coffins, where you can pick up a few golden runes. And then you are going to be heading further down, and then to the left, where you'll see these ruins here. These are the Forsaken Ruins. And there's 2 items of note here, though I'm avoiding both of them right now. So the first item of note is right here in the middle. It is a Smithing Stone 4. And then here you can use a Stone Sword key to open up this underground doorway. And in here, in a chest, is a weapon. The Sword of Saint Trina. This is a straight sword that scales up strength and dex. It does magic damage. It needs some intelligence. And it builds up sleep. Not super powerful, but it is pretty unique. And I think it's kind of neat. So that may be worth picking up. Especially going into the DLC. We don't know what's going to be powerful, so even though it's not powerful in the base game, you never know how the DLC will turn out until we actually get to it. Heading back here, we're going to drop down back onto where the coffins are, but instead of going left, we're going to head south towards that giant castle. How you want to approach is entirely up to you. I tend to just beeline straight towards things as that makes it faster. And here you can see a Site of Grace and one of those invisible moving scarabs. This one gets you the Ash of War Flame of the Redmanes, which was quite popular at some point. If you don't want to swing at the perfect time, then you can put on the Glint Blade Phalanx Ash of War and crouch away from where it's moving, and it'll run straight into your little glowing swords on your shoulders, and it'll take itself out. Then here, there's a Site of Grace in case you didn't have that Ash of War on, or in case you die here, and then you can head up. Again, we are heading towards the castle, and so how you want to approach it is up to you as long as you get to it. Though, you may want to take out this knight over here as they shoot arrows at you, and those arrows go surprisingly far. So for your own safety, you may want to take them out. Now you can go to the left from here to get a little something something. I forgot to do it in the recording, so we're just going to continue heading on. As you can see, the gate there is closed, so we're going to need to continue on this way. Here, there's this enemy protecting a ladder. You can also go to the right of this ladder and drop down to get that item as well. Though, again, that is up to you. We are going to head up into Fort Jail. Now, that giant roaring beast, they can't get you up here, so you are safe for now, so long as you stay up here. And continuing to explore up here, you may want to have a great shield at this point in the game, as the enemies in Caelid are much more aggressive and have new moves entirely. Like these guys have a charge move, which, as you can see there, took basically half my stamina, and I'm around 30 endurance at this point. I might be 29, 30, 31. I could be any of those at this point. So, these guys take a lot of stamina if you're shielding them. But having a great shield also lets that guy's attacks bounce off. Whereas if you have a medium shield, then they'll just go through your shield, making it much harder to get those guard counters off. And with him dead, you can safely open up this chest to get the Star Scourge Heirloom. This is a talisman that increases your strength stat by 5 points. And up that ladder is a teleporter. If you wish to take that, you can. We are going to continue on this way. Down here, there's nothing too special. Just some mushrooms, and then over here there's a lever. And this lever opens up the doorway that we looked at earlier when we got off our horse. So that's just in case you die. Dropping down, there's this chest here with Qatar. It is a fist weapon, not super special, but we decided to grab it just because it's on the way. And now we are going to kill this thing. And it is big, it likes to jump around, it is aggressive, but square off is still square off. It is very powerful. And it can trivialize a lot of fights that may seem difficult at first glance. And with them dead, you can get the Ash of War Lion's Claw. This is on the Claymore weapon by default, and it is very popular for bigger swords like great swords and colossal swords. It does a ton of damage. It's got hyper armor. It's very powerful. It flattens a lot of enemies. Really good poise damage. It's basically like Square Off, but for even bigger weapons. And, again, hyper armor. So it's harder to get smacked out of it. So it is a very good Ash of War to have. And from there, we can continue back. Though we're not going all the way back to the previous Site of Grace. We're heading to a position kind of between them. It is behind those two soldiers. Though if we approach them directly, then we'll have to fight them. And it's two enemies with great shields. And we don't really want to do that, so we will go up and around to get behind them for easy access to Jail Tunnel. Heading into here, there's a few basic enemies. Don't try to guard counter too fast. And as you can see, there's no elevator here, unlike most tunnels and caves. So instead, we have to drop down, and that means that once you come down here, you're not getting out until you make it to the end, which can be very dangerous. And quick reminder that strike damage is very good against the stone men often found in these tunnels. And I decided to do a little demonstration just to show you. So if we two-hand our longsword, then we do 41 damage. And if we two-hand the whip, we do 41 damage. So you might think there's no difference there, but there is. See, the longsword is plus 13, the whip is plus 0. So if we were upgrading the whip, then it would do way more damage. And the second thing is that the whip stunned, whereas the longsword didn't. Though that's not to say that you have to use strike damage, because I often come in here with a greatsword, like a claymore, and two-handing that works perfectly fine. Here there's a smithing stone 4, and I typically just skip these, where I'll show this is how many smithing stones I had coming in, this is how many smithing stones I have leaving. Though I'm not going to be doing that here, because in this area there are two very unique weapons, and I wanted to show them, or how to get them. And there's also the fact that this tunnel doesn't work like other tunnels, since it isn't just get to the end, fight the boss, teleport out, and then you can leave if you want. Smithing stone 4, smithing stone 4, and here is the cross naginata. This is a spear weapon with blood loss buildup and decent scaling. And most spears are just a poke weapon. The cross naginata, however, has a series of slashes and pokes, making it a very unique spear, and it adds a lot of versatility. So, if you're looking into spears but wish they had something besides just endless poking, you may want to give the cross naginata a try. And from there, we can continue on heading through the tunnel, taking out enemies, and picking up smithing stone 4s. You may want to run to the end, as this enemy has a horn, and if they blow that horn, it attracts all the enemies. Smithing stone 4. But as you can see, the enemies aren't attacking you. That one is. But smithing stone 4. And he's only attacking us because we accidentally picked up one of the items that he was farming away at. So as long as you don't let the Radon soldier blow the horn, and as long as you don't pick up their items, they'll just ignore you. And that allows you to skip much of the combat. And normally these guys are farming smithing stones, speaking of, which means that you kind of have to fight them, but these ones are just farming crafting items, so we can ignore them. Here there's another smithing stone 4, a door, another smithing stone 4, and a site of grace that leads out into the open world. Back in here is the boss, and killing them will get you a katana called a Moonveil. It is very popular as a dexterity intelligence weapon because the unique skill that it has is extremely powerful. So, if you're doing an intelligence build, you may want to head there and try to bring out that boss. Though, I'm not in the recording, just for the sake of time. And we can now head back to Rot View Balcony for the third and final time. Instead of heading up and left, we are now going to head off to the right into the main part of Caelid. So here there are these slow grappler enemies that we can just ignore. And up here, you can see one of the two main enemies of Caelid. So here, there's the incantation Whirl o' Flame. Not super outstanding, but it is on the way, so we'll grab it. These dogs are one of the two main enemies of Caelid. And you're going to see these things everywhere. And as you can see, they can be a bit of a problem. Though I mainly struggled here just because it's a mixture of I haven't fought them in a while and I'm not very good at these games, so take that combat encounter and interpret it how you will. Though, moving on, in this carriage, you can open this chest to get the Great Sword. This is a colossal sword that scales very well off of strength and is very, very popular among strength builds. So, if you're looking to invest heavily into strength, that may interest you. Then here, there's a Site of Grace. Don't forget to level up. And from here, we can head down into these ruins, the Caelid ruins. And there's a few items sprinkled about. Nothing too special. And you can honestly just breeze right through here, ignoring all the enemies if you want. and all the items if you want. Because, as I said, nothing super special here. Even the boss of this area just gives you a shield. I mean, it's a great shield, but it resembles those enemies. Though at the bottom of these ruins, you can head southwest up onto these things, these mounds. Now, these mounds occasionally hold items, and most of them don't hold anything significant, but the ones here do. And that is a giant bird. It is the other main enemy of Caelid. Now, if I seem lost here, that's because I am. You see, I typically write notes down before heading into an area. Here's a smithing stone 5, that item that I was talking about, the one significant item there. And in my writing down notes for all the significant items, I just wrote down that there was a smithing stone 5 on one of the mounds. Didn't specify which one, and forgot which one it was. So that's why I seemed a little confused there, because I couldn't remember which specific one it was. Though, we get that Site of Grace. Here is a finger reader, and they just tell you where Redmane Castle is and where the Swamp of Aeonia is. And there was also a telescope back there, and you can use that to get a bird's eye view of things. Though, from here, we're going to be heading east. And as you can see, there are two of these giant T-Rex dogs with, like, Snoopy heads. Or not Snoopy, the other dog. Scrappy, that's it. Scrappy. Scrappy-Doo heads. Anyways, down here, there's a branch. And you can follow this branch all the way down here. And heading down here, you make it to the abandoned cave. Now, this is very good, but also very dangerous. You see down there, you can't get back up, and that swamp water slows you down and causes scarlet rot. But it does give you a very good talisman. It gives you the gold scarab, which, if you're familiar with Dark Souls, it's basically the silver serpent ring. It gives you more currency for killing enemies, which is very, very good. Though, teleporting back here, again, I'm not doing that simply for the sake of time. I'm just going to point it out so you know where to get it. And I can get it on my own time. For now, we can head down here, and we're going to go off the main path. And down to the right here. And we're going to look for this swampy area. Standing in here causes scarlet rot. Unless you're on your horse, then you'll be fine. And you want to look for this flower enemy. Because just past them is this. This costs 2 stone sword keys, but if you explore in here, then you'll get 1 back. And you also get some other things in here. You get the Wagizashi, which is a dagger that can be dual-wielded with katanas. You can get a Somber Smithing Stone 5, which are pretty rare. And you can also get another straight sword, the Regalia of Aeochade. I butchered that pronunciation, but it is an arcane straight sword. And it has a pretty powerful unique skill. So you may be interested in looking into that. For now, we can head back up, and we can head to the other side of the off the path. Here, there's a site of grace. This is how you can tell you're going in the right direction. And here, there's a merchant.
Welcome, dear customer. Well, value, please. I'm hungry.
This merchant doesn't have much, but they do sell an infinite amount of poison bone darts and an infinite amount of fire arrows. So, they give something. So, continuing on, we can head further down, where there's another site of grace. And then heading down and left, we can make it into the swamp of Aeonia. And over here, we can make it to some ruins. And here we can get the meteorite staff. This is a glintstone staff that has S scaling on intelligence, D scaling on strength, and boost gravity sorceries. And from there, we can continue on like northeast-ish, where we will quickly find this spot where we can go down. Now, I'm not going to do all of the Swamp of Aeonia. I'll do most of it, but again, not Celia, as that comes in the next part. For now, here we can get Rock Sling. This is a gravity sorcery, and it is somewhat popular and generally considered to be pretty strong, especially against very large enemies like dragons. Here, you can get the Traveler set in a perfume bottle. And that's everything here in these ruins. So we can now head back up, and then we can get back on the path. Once again, that was just me showing that we're not doing Celia this part, as we will be doing that along with Redmane Castle in the next part. For now, here we can get Lifesteal Fist. Not that powerful, but we got it because it's on the way. And then here, you'll notice the Caelid Waypoint Ruins, and there's a little section that goes underground there, and if you can find that, then you can get another katana if you're interested in that. So I'm not going to for the sake of time, though I will point it out in case you're interested. There's another Starlight Shard. And continuing on down the path, you will run into this. A great dragon. And if you want to kill them, you can. Though they have lots of health and they spew scarlet rot, so do so at your own risk. Though moving past them into here, we have the Cathedral of Dragon Communion and the Ancient Dragon Cookbook 3, along with a Site of Grace. Now, that cookbook will allow you to craft Dragon Wound Grease to do more damage against dragons. And here, there's an altar which allows you to get dragon incantations. And there's a fire one, a glintstone one, a rotten one for scarlet rot, and an ice one. And all of these, you get the normal one, and then there's a stronger version. And the stronger version, you have to kill a dragon to get. Like, this is a Geel in Limgrave. This is Smarog in Liurnia of the Lakes. This one is the giant dragon we just pointed out here in Caelid. And then the stronger version of this can be gotten in Mountaintops of the Giants later on. And then there's Dragon Claw and Dragon Maw. So, if you're interested in powerful incantations that go off faith and require some arcane, that may interest you. And they are very powerful. Though the rotten ones got nerfed at some point, which was very sad. Now, do be careful, as there is a boss here at nighttime. And here, you can get the map of Caelid. And outside of Celia, like, I'd say that this is a pretty good overview of what we're going to be doing this part, except for Redmane Castle and, again, Celia, as I will do those two together in the next part. For now, there's a merchant here.
I am no selling.
And this merchant, you can purchase a cracked pot, a stone sword key, the cookbook for wrought bow and arrows and bolts, and you can purchase the champion starting class set and the great helm, one of my personal favorite helmets in this game, as it is just better than the vagabond helm and it looks very nice. So there's that. And that giant wrought blob, which looks like a giant skull over there. If you go there at night, then there will be a deathrite bird just off to the right of it, above our head there. And they can be very dangerous, but if you can manage to kill them, you'll get Death's Poker, which is an intelligence greatsword. And it has a powerful, unique skill, though for the sake of time, I will not be getting it right now. However, I will be getting this golden seed. And from there, we can continue on down, heading towards this watchtower in the distance. There are these giant dogs here, which you may want to watch out for, but you don't want to get too far away from them, as you can lure them over to these Radahn soldiers, and they'll fight each other. And as they do that, you can hop over this flaming wall, where behind the watchtower, there's a site of grace. And you can let them fight each other, and you can get some free runes out of that. And you can also go up here, climbing either of these two ladders to go up the watchtower. Now, you don't really need to do this, as up here there's just a talisman for bows. Though, I'm going to do it because some people may want to use bows. And, as I've said, this is for every run. So, you may want to be careful, because, as I've said, the Radahn soldiers have new and improved attacks that are more dangerous. And there, Arrow Sting Talisman. I don't know where this guy is going, by the way. I don't know what he thought he was gonna do, but there, Arrow Sting Talisman, which raises the attack power of arrows and bolts. So, not super outstanding, but might be worth it if you're using a bow or a crossbow. And then up here, kind of hidden behind this elevated rock, is the Scarab, which gives you the Ash of War Crag Blade, which is very similar to Square Off in the sense that it's not super flashy or overpowered, but it can make fights significantly easier. Though, what it does is you jam it into the ground, and then you pull your weapon out, and it increases the attack power and stance damage. So more damage, and you break enemy stance more easily. So it's slightly different from Square Off in the sense that Square Off you do in the middle of a fight, whereas at Crag Blade, just like this physic tier, you tend to use it before heading into a fight. So there is a slight difference there, but very similar. And if you go down this way, then there's a catacomb, and that'll let you get some more upgrade materials. And the final thing we're going to do in this part is head towards this area. So you may want to head down. If you want to wait for them to finish fighting each other and then clear out the survivors, you can. And you definitely want to go around collecting the very hard-earned spoils. Now, the Radon soldiers have a chance to drop Smithing Stone 2, 3, and 4. So if you're looking for Smithing Stones, especially super early on, it may be worth heading over there and trying to get some off of them. Though, the drop chances aren't super great. Now, as you can see, I'm beelining straight towards the marker. And there's two reasons for this. The first, it makes the run faster. And second, it allows you to run into these, which gets you another 3 Smithing Stone 4. Along with a Rune Arc, in case you use Great Runes. But this brings you into the Swamp of Aeonia. I'm going to be doing part of this part of it next part, along with, again, Redmane Castle and Celia. Now, you may notice this giant thing of bramble, and you want to stick to the outside of the bramble, as on the outside is this Site of Grace, which will allow you to show up right next to the boss just in case you die. And over here, there's a summon sign in case you want to get a summon for the boss. Now, this boss, he feels the same way. He pulls out some summons. And something popular that I have heard some people do and have tried myself is you can actually get on your horse and go outside of the bramble circle, and you can lure him out to the Scarlet Rot. And he can't get infected by the Scarlet Rot out there. At least, I don't think. But there are those exploding pools that you may have noticed. And he can take damage from those pools. So, you can get on your horse, and you can just ride around those, and he'll just slowly walk towards you, and he'll just stand in the explosions endlessly, as long as you have good positioning and timing. And it also gets him very far away from the summons, which can be helpful. And as you can see, 4 charged attacks, and he didn't go down on a 1 knee like this, which Cragblade can help with that. So, as you can see, there are multiple ways to bring him down. I believe in you, and taking him out gets you Commander Standard, which is a halberd, and it also gets you the Unalloyed Gold Needle. This is a key item that you're going to need for Celia and a quest line there, which again we can do that next time. So there's still Jail Cave, Abandoned Cave, and Jail Tunnel with some weapons and a talisman that I didn't go do, but I pointed them out along with a catacomb here and a catacomb here. So I didn't do them, but I pointed them out, and I mean, we got the Sword of St. Trina, Great Sword, Cross Naginata, a few other weapons. We got the Perfumer's Traveling Set. We got Star Scourge Heirloom. We got Air with Sting Talisman, Sacred Scorpion Charm. We got a Golden Seed. We got these 2 Crystal Tears. We got the Rock Sling Sorcery, Whirl o' Flame Incantation. We got Lion's Claw, Cragblade, Flame of the Redmanes, Lifesteal Fist, along with a handful of cookbooks. And again, we will do Redmane Castle and Celia next time, and then Dragon Barrow the time after that, just so these videos aren't too long. But that's everything in main Caelid. Again, in this run, I will be going through every single weapon, shield, armor set, talisman, spirit ash, physic tier, and cookbook that you'll need to prepare for the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. No matter what build you're doing, I hope you continue to follow me through on this so we can prepare together. And with that being said, yeah.